On Saturday, June 4th, 1960, 15-year-old Maila Bjorklund and Anja Maki decided to camp on the shore of Lake Bodom in Finland. Accompanying them were their two 18-year-old boyfriends, Seppo Boisman and Nils Gustaffson. At 6 a.m. the next day, a group of boys, birdwatching, reported seeing a collapsed tent and a blond man exiting the site. It wasn't until 11 a.m. that a local carpenter stumbled upon the site and found the bodies of the 4 teenagers. When police arrived, they found 2 teens laying across the collapsed tent. Maila lay next to her boyfriend Nils, naked from the waist down and in a gruesome state. Maila had been stabbed continuously after her death and was found to have been attacked more severely than her 3 friends. Nils, however, was found to still be alive on top of the tent next to his deceased girlfriend, but suffered from a concussion, superficial stab wounds, a fractured jaw, and several broken facial bones. Inside the tent, the bodies of Anja and Seppo were found stabbed and bludgeoned to death. Nils later stated he'd caught a glimpse of their attacker wearing black and bright red clothing as he approached. Police believe the attack took place somewhere between 4 and 6 a.m. The killer had not attacked while the teens were in the tent, but rather attacked them outside with a knife and unidentified blunt instrument thought to be a rock, though to this day, the murder weapons have never been found. What made this case stranger was the fact the killer had stolen items of no value, taking the keys to the teenagers' motorcycles, but leaving the motorcycles at the campsite. Nils' shoes had also gone missing, but were found close to a kilometer away with other items of clothing. Later, the Finnish papers would criticize the police for their handling of the case, accusing police of failing to officially record their findings and section off the crime scene. Their failure to stop onlookers and campers from entering the crime scene caused the murder scene to be destroyed and evidence contaminated. Police attempted to fix this mistake by enlisting soldiers to search the surrounding areas for items. However, this only caused further damage to the site, without any success of finding the items. At this point, police have 3 dead teenagers, a contaminated crime scene, 1 survivor, and a vague description of the suspected attacker. So who were their suspects? The first was Carl Gilstrom, known by the community as Kiosk Man, due to operating a stall near Lake Bodom. Carl's stall had plenty of traffic from campers, but Carl was known for his aggressive behavior toward them. It is claimed, over the years, people had witnessed him cut down campers' tents and throw rocks at hikers. Some even believed they'd seen him leave the murder scene, but later claimed they were too afraid of Carl to report it. Allegedly, Carl had even made several confessions, both sober and under the influence of alcohol. His alleged confessions made it clear he had knowledge of the crime, but police were skeptical of the confessions because they considered him a disturbed individual. Police never attempted to retrieve a DNA test, and 9 years later, it was too late. In a suspected suicide, Carl was found to have drowned in Lake Bodom, leaving a note confessing to the murders. However, Carl's wife claimed he was in bed with her at the time of the murders, and was dismissed once again as a suspect. Now we turn to their second suspect, Hans Assmann, rumoured to be a former KGB spy living close to the shores of Lake Bodom. Hans had a reputation as a recluse, and had also been the suspect of another murder. However, the allegations for this other murder could not be proven, as he said he was in Germany at the time. But what is interesting about Hans is he had been to the Helsinki Surgical Hospital the day after the murders at Lake Bodom, his fingernails dark from dirt and clothes covered in red stains. Hospital staff also reported his behaviour to be nervous and aggressive. After the police questioned Hans, they subsequently ruled him out as a suspect, claiming he provided a solid alibi for his whereabouts. And then the case went cold for 44 years, bringing us to a new development in 2004. In March of that year, Nils Gustaffson, the sole survivor found lying next to his murdered girlfriend on top of the collapsed tent at Lake Bodom, was arrested. Police claimed they had suspected Nils during the entire investigation and said they had evidence to support their claims. Do you remember the shoes they found nearly a kilometer away? Well, police claim the killer had been wearing them during the attack. They strengthened their claim by stating the shoes were covered in blood from all but one of the teenagers, and that one was Nils Gustaffson. The prosecution brought a story forward to the court, one involving a fight between Nils and his friend Seppo. They stated a drunk Nils was kicked out of the teen's tent, and Seppo made attempts to talk to him. During this talk, it's alleged a fight between the two broke out, and Seppo won, causing the injuries Nils was found with. Nils was said to have flew into a rage after losing, going back to the tent and murdering his girlfriend and two friends. They alleged he inflicted the superficial stab wounds on himself, hid the shoes, and staged the crime scene he was found in. The prosecution attempted to verify their claims using the young birdwatchers who had seen a man leaving the campsite at 6 a.m, and a statement from a woman who claimed Nils had boasted of his guilt to her a decade after the murders. The defense countered these claims, arguing Nils could not have committed 3 murders with the injuries he had suffered from. They also stated it had been common knowledge the shoes belonging to Nils, who had been found barefoot, had been used by the killer. The trial ended on October 7th, 2005, and the court ruled in Gustaffson's favour. He was acquitted of all charges. The court went on to explain the prosecution's evidence was inconclusive, and their motive of a drunk fight was not strong enough to suggest committing 3 murders. The facts and statements used by the prosecution were also considered impossible to verify after so much time had passed. Upon release, Nils Gustaffson was paid €44,900 by the state of Finland for the mental suffering caused, and is now a free man. So now the police are back to stage 1, and the case is still relatively cold. The murders of Lake Bodom are still unsolved, and 2 of the 3 suspects are no longer alive. Now it begs the question, who do you think committed the murders at Lake Bodom?